From the dying channel studios of Arizona.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Welcome to the MMA-Holes Live. It's good to see everyone. Hopefully everyone is wonderful. We got a slam-packed, jam-packed show for you tonight. Islam Makhachev accused of cheating. The UFC 284 recap. Who really won the main event? Because there's a lot of debate going back and forth. A lot of Islam, a lot of Volk. So we're going to be talking about that. I literally just rewatched the fight before we went live. I got my notes over here. I never take notes, so you know I'm taking tonight serious. So I'm going to give you exactly who won. I'm going to tell you who won the fight, so we can stop debating about that. The IV thing is real. Did Islam Makhachev cheat? All that fun stuff. So if you could deposit your like in the box down below over here, let's get to 150 thumbs in the air like you don't care. Thank you guys for stopping by, and consider subscribing, since we had Mike Goldberg live on the show reacting to fights with us Saturday night.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, CBDX.com. The promo code is MMA-Holes for 20% off the finest of THC products. MyBookie.ag. If you're going to place a bet and win some money, go to MyBookie.ag. Promo code MMA-Holes for 100% match on your first deposit. Sheath underwear, best undies in the game. Link in the description down below. 20% off. Promo code MMA-Holes. Head Rush. 20% off. Same code MMA-Holes. Head Rush, link in the description. ESPN Plus, if you want to watch the fights every week, click on our link. ESPN Plus is wonderful. Only if you click our link. If you don't, then I don't care. Okay, here we go. So you got the Dan Hooker as the cheater over here. We're going to discuss that IV situation. I did an investigation, and I've come to a conclusion on that. Actually, I have the answers. I have all the answers for you tonight. This is what we do over here on the MMA Holes. We give you answers. We make you cringe with our humor. We got the best community in the chat. Ariel Hilwani's stuck in the window because he sucks. All right, what's going on in the chat? How you doing? Let's go, friends. How you doing? Let's take attendance over here. Who do we got on our live stream? I watched it yesterday. It was razor close, in my opinion, says Gozarian. I will give a little hint. It is close. There's no doubt about it. There is no argument from me about that. The night of, we said it was close, and today it's close as well. But I do have a winner for the competition that I will tell you why that person won. So stand by. What's up, Bro Plata? How you doing? Let's see. Rigo is going autistic in the chat. My chat doesn't show spamming. It doesn't even show it. Come on, Rigo. You got to do better than that. Thank you for putting me in your video. It did make it a lot better.
Wonderful.
Okay, let's get to the UFC 284 card. Here's the Tapology over here. I'm going to blast through the recap. I'm not going to go through each and every fight over here. I'm going to tell you the highlights of the card. I'm going to tell you my thoughts really quick, and then we're going to move into the meat and potatoes of the event tonight. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Looking through this thing over here, there's a lot of, who the
fuck is that guy?
A lot of that going on over here on this card. A lot of people complaining about it, but it did exactly what I said it would do. It basically gave me the boxing feel. I mean, the main card was fun. There's no doubt about it. I had a good time on the main card. We had Mike Goldberg here. That helped. But the main card, all I really cared about was the main event. I literally paid $80 for Volkanovski versus Makhachev, and it was delightful. This even in the rewatch, just as good as the first time. I loved this fight. And let me just say this. It's because of Volkanovski. I'm Team Islam. I picked Islam. But it's because of Volkanovski. This guy, very exciting. And, he went from a fighter where I was like, well, whatever. He's fighting Max Holloway over and over again. Boring. But to someone that's gotten, I don't know. I think he's found himself as a fighter. and watching him absorb that Aussie crowd and play into the crowd, and it was a lot of fun. We'll get into that in a sec. Scrolling through over here, who cares, right? Who cares? Thank you, Blake Builder, for being my only win. The underdog coming over here. Seems like a good prospect. Scrolling through, Jack Jenkins seems like another one over here. Luke Boomy had the first finish, so thank God for female fights. A lot of people criticize female fights. Malarkey destroyed Prado. Let's see. Rodriguez got the knockout over Ross very quickly. Kulabal Bagdasarian, the rear naked choke over here. Bukaki got the win, unanimous decision. Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menafield. If there was not a point taken away for a fence grab, Alonzo would have won. But because of that point, and I got to say this, I am very happy that they're doing this. I feel every fight, if you grab the cage and it stops a takedown, instant point deduction. Instant. I don't even get, if you're grabbing of the fence, which is not allowed, stops a takedown, which puts the other person in a dominating position. If it stops it, take the point. Every single time. I hope we see more of this. I hope it happens every single time. And it sucks for Menafield because he won the fight, but it is what it is. He really didn't. It was a draw now because of that fence grab. So that's my opinion over there. Justin Taffa took the soul of Parker Porter, and Dominic Cruz compared it to... I am not kidding. When I went back and, skimmed through the replay of this card, this is why you watch the MMA-Holes. I'm just saying. Dominic Cruz is a very smart guy. Knows a lot more about the sport than me. But he compared Justin Taffa to Conor McGregor. I am not going to... That finish, I'm not even going to... I'm not... All right. That's all I'm going to say. That's all right. All right. Jack Madalena, oh my God, dude.
Super chat.
Folk is making a lot of excuses. Hate the guy.
We're going to get to it. Thank you, Ronaldo. How about Ronaldo with the $2 donation? Give him a round of applause. He hates Volk. There are a lot of excuses. We're going to get into the IV. We're going to get into the actual who won the fight. And I promise you, when I watched the replay, I had my pen and paper. I made sure that I was watching with an unbiased eye. I'll tell you all the stuff in a little bit. But anyway, yeah, Madalena just destroyed Randy Brown, and it bums me out. It's one of those situations that the whole way leading up to the fight, I was like, Jack got this. Same with Yair Rodriguez, and I don't know why I would doubt myself. I mean, I am mystical. I have a crystal ball every time I make my picks. For some reason, those two fights, I went the other way the night before and picked the unders. A biasness to Randy Brown, and I don't even know why the hell I picked Emmett. I think I need to be put out in the back like old Yelder and just put down. Ridiculous stuff. So don't do that. Don't second guess yourself. If you have a strong gut with something and you're fairly decent on your picks, just stick with your gut. I don't know what the hell is going on with me. But anyway, Madalena looks good. He's a definite hot prospect. I always want to see this guy compete. This guy's so much fun. His nose is on the side of his head. Randy Brown said he was going to put it back in place. That didn't happen. Randy looked good in early, very, very early. He looked smooth out there, and Jack's like, yeah, whatever, bro. I'll choke you out. Rodriguez just took the soul of Emmett. This fight, it got to the point where Rodriguez's game plan was just on point. It was fantastic, man. It was to the point where Emmett was so frustrated where he was throwing those gremlin haymakers. I got to knock this guy out. And all we were saying while this fight was going down, well, at least in my head, was Yair Rodriguez, I got you. You have to think, if a fighter's executing a game plan and you got your guys fucking swinging to the point where he's just recklessly throwing hands all over the place, easy work. They go down to the ground. Yair Rodriguez throws up a triangle. He becomes the interim champ, and now he will be next to fight Volkanovski. Is he going to beat Volkanovski? The answer is no. You don't even need to watch. You got the cliff notes. You got the spoiler. Spoiler! I should have said spoiler. Volkanovski will beat Rodriguez. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. With that being said, fantastic win over Josh Emmett. He put the stake in the vampire's heart, and he got the job done. Nice submission win. Got a bonus as well. So congratulations. Enjoy it while it lasts, because Volk is going to go down there. He's not happy. He's going to go down there and beat the living shit out of you. Okay, that's my assessment on that. Does anyone think Rodriguez wins? Let me know in the chat. And now we move into the main event. Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. You guys ready? One's in the chat if you're ready to rock. We're about to talk about it. The IV, the real winner. But before we go in there, let's check out the chat. I can't think of a fighter with more heart than Volk. Volk gonna murder him. Chiefs. Shout out to the Chiefs. Congratulations for the win. I had Islam winning all rounds except fifth. Goldie was kind of with you on that. Yair dangerous, but Volk is fearless, and here come the ones. Okay, I want to rematch this, Shane. Okay. The cheat Islam. Yes. Oh, would you live under a rock? We're going to talk about it. Dan Hooker. Big Dan Hooker. You know the guy that got mutilated by Islam Makhachev? Remember that? That guy ran to Twitter and said that Islam Makhachev, well, let me just pull up his Twitter over here. Now, listen, he was home, with his people. He was watching, the fights and of course, he's going for Volkanovski. So he puts out there, I'm just pulling up his, where's Hangman? Where are you, Hangman? Dan Hooker, where you at? Where you at? There you are. Okay. So Hooker goes on on Twitter, and he goes on like kind of like a weird tirade. He goes, okay, here it is. You decided to do an F-all. Dumb Kuntz think that he can fly to Australia, hire a nurse to give him an IV, and we won't find out. Cheating, dog. By the way, can we stop with dog? There are a lot of people that say, hey, dog. I don't agree with you, dog. Like, what are we fucking... Didn't Randy from American Idol do that like 15 years ago? Why are we bringing this back? All right, dog. Like, okay, dude. Dog. USADA doing F-all. UFC fighters face up to 2 years suspension for IV use, right? He's saying that USADA is not taking care of the situation. He says, prove me wrong. Bet you can't. Here's the pictures that pop up. Shout out to Real Fight Talk. I got to give him credit, man. He's popping up everywhere. He's popping up everywhere over here. Okay. We see a mark, and I'm going to talk about this mark over here in a sec. Okay. So Dan Hooker he's very serious about this, and he might have a case. He might actually have a case. Replying to someone, Dan, who are you talking about? It's early East Coast USA, so it's hard to find out. And he writes, Islam is a cheat. So he's accusing Islam Makhachev of hopping on the old IV. That is the accusation. And let me just say this. It is an accusation. And we're going to tell you exactly what happened over here. Now, as you look at this picture, as I was looking at this picture, I was saying to myself, hey, man, what's going on here? I think he might be right. You're looking at this. I mean, it's clear. It's clear as day. Injection marks are in the vein. It's there. There's no doubt about it. I saw Jesse on Fire. I had a conversation with Keenan K and us. And, it's there. We can all confirm it's there. But you know how the internet works. You know how, like, Photoshop is. So I had to do a little bit more digging because I'm like, I don't believe this. No way. Why would he cheat, man? Why would it's so obvious? Like, that's crazy. Why would he get an IV after the weigh-ins? There's no way. So I actually went to the ceremonial weigh-ins, and I was like, let me just look at the video and see if I can kind of zoom in over here and see, maybe people were photoshopping this. So I did. That's what I did, because I am an investigative journalist over here on the MMA-Holes. Not only am I an attractive host with a beautiful beard, but I also do investigations. And this is in the shadows over here. But let me tell you something. I see that vein bulging out, and it looks pretty irritated, like there was an injection. Then we got a shot in the light over here. This is from, by the way, Islam Makhachev with his, he has the weirdest, that meme that's going around where he's on Stephen Hawking's wheelchair, Like, he does make this face a lot. Anyway, it has nothing to do with anything here. But I'm looking at his arm, and lo and behold, there is a mark there, smack on the vein. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dan Hooker is correct. He is correct. There was an IV inside the vein. There's no doubt about it. It's in every image of Islam Makhachev. So now we have to find out, is this man indeed cheating? That's what we got to find out right now. I'm going to give you the answer in a second, but we have a beautiful donation coming in over here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
It's from Sonosi.
I mentioned this in the Discord, but do you think if this is true, Volk gets the belt? Also considering Islam and Kamaru Usman weigh at 190 to 195, with that much weight cut, it would not shock me 100%.
Okay. If it is true, so you're saying, okay, hold on. If it's true, should they strip and give Islam the belt? I mean, no. I would say if he is found guilty of something like this, it's not like it was Volk's belt and Islam took it. I think you should honor Volkanovski with a rematch. That's what I would say. That's what I would think. But I am not the UFC. Anyway, so we did a little digging over here, and shout out to Jesse on Fire. We literally saw the same fucking thing. I can't jump to a conclusion unless I have all the information. That's just how I work. I can't just make a fucking stream, a video. I can't just go out there on Instagram and Twitter and say, oh my God, he's cheating, without the fucking information. I can't do that. So because I'm probably the best host in the world, well, I did do some investigation, and it was confirmed over here. Jesse on Fire threw it into the Instagram messages, so shout out to Jesse. But here we go, John Morgan. Big John Morgan over here says UFC November 2019 update to intravenous IV infusion policy for quick reference. I'm told dehydration qualifies as a medically justified use of an IV. However, UFC notify local commission of any athletic needing treatment. So there's a whole thing over here. The IV rule, okay? Let's see. All IV infusion injections more than 100 milliliters per. This is a little technical stuff over here. Competition. Hold on. Let's go. Both in and out of competition, except to those legitimately receiving in or out of competition in the course of hospital treatments, surgical procedures, clinical diagnostic investigations, and or their receives that are determined to be medically justified within the standard of care by licensed physician and administered by a licensed medical professional without an approved therapeutic use exemption. Now, I botched that a little bit, but let me explain that to you. There is a loophole, boys and girls. Yes, it is true. You are not supposed to IV yourself up. Now, for those of you that are new UFC fans, what fighters would do is they would make weight, plug the needle in, rehydrate, get all those fluids back in, bulk back up. I'm ready to fight, get that edge. And the UFC's like, oh, pump the brakes. No, some people are saying like steroids and stuff like that were being injected in there. Just get rid of the IV. Get rid of it. So after, you weigh in, you're not supposed to be hooked up to an IV. I see someone in the chat says doctor's note. Basically, you're not wrong. If a doctor says you're dehydrated, if a doctor says you need the IV for whatever reason it is, medically, a professional says it, not Javier Mendez or any of your coaches. If a medical physician says, hey, this athlete needs to be hydrated up, which every athlete is dehydrated after a weight cut, there's a loophole. You can get yourself IV'd up. So I'm assuming Islam Makhachev went in there, had trouble making that weight, made it, and then said, yo, we got to get those fluids back in here or I'm not going to be able to fight. Like, I'm pretty messed up over here. Go to a doctor. Doctor says, yeah, let's hook him up to an IV. Hence, the marks on the arm. So the question that the thing that Dan Hooker is accusing Islam Makhachev of, well, he's not wrong to a point. Islam clearly was injected before this fight. There's no doubt about it. The proof is in the pudding. This is not Photoshop. This is legit there in multiple images, in videos. It is there. But if you get a doctor that says you need this IV to get done, well, you're allowed to do that. And I would be honest, I'm going to assume a lot of fighters are going to be contacting their doctors after weigh-ins and getting plugged up. I want to know in the chat what you think about this. We're going to get into the actual scoring of the fight and who won the main event. But let me know what you think. Okay, heroin addict. I did say I made the heroin joke as well with the boys, the Justice League. Paulo Costa was caught doing it too. Devontae, very good point. My wife said the same thing. She goes, wait, hold on a second. Wasn't Paulo Costa cheating? I'm like, no. Now, in hindsight, looking back, we all were making memes thinking that Paulo Costa was cheating. We were wrong. He probably was, I think he was in the hospital actually when it happened. So a doctor probably said he needed to be hydrated, was hooked up. They took a picture. And because the doctor told him he needed it, it's not cheating. There are rules. But every rule has, you could always finagle your way around these rules. And if you're fighting in the main event in Australia and you're Islam Makhachev and you're feeling a little iffy before the fight, they're going to find a way. I'm pretty sure, I would imagine, I'm going to assume this, that the UFC and the boys were like, okay, let's get this doctor's approval. There's a loophole here. Get him IV'd up. Make sure he's healthy for this fight. Is it right? I mean, if Volkanovski didn't get IV'd up, but Islam did, I feel like it is some sort of an advantage, right? But it's a loophole. There's really nothing we can say. Technically, Islam Makhachev did not cheat. He didn't. But yes, he did have an IV. It's a wild situation. And I guarantee you this, no one's really talking about it. I haven't seen anyone talking about this stuff right now. I mean, and shout out to John Morgan for throwing this out there, because I had no clue. No clue. Nothing will be done. Taito Ivaza says, F that motherfucker. Yes, it's an advantage because I bet he would have gassed sooner. But it didn't. Islam started to get gas later on in the fight. This is not fair. Couldn't they all do this when I mean, technically, you know it's going to happen, right? It's like the Conor thing. It's the same nonsense. Conor gets the surgery. All of a sudden, he's not getting tested by USADA. Like, he finds these loopholes. Fighters will be getting IV'd again. They will just contact a physician, say, yo, medically, let's get this done. Sign these papers. Hook me up. Especially if it's a main event. Because think about this. Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett is the main event. Fun stuff. Kind of lopsided fight over there. It's not a main event. This was the main event. Everyone was there to see Islam versus Volk. See if Volk in his backyard could become a double champ. This is the fight. This is what everyone wanted to see. So, of course, if there was any loophole, the UFC would make sure Islam would be able to jump right through that hole. Couple more comments on this, and then we're going to move from the IV. And if you're just jumping in right now, the facts are in. Islam used an IV, but he didn't cheat. And it's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild scenario. Because I bet a lot of guys, if they knew this, they would have loved to get an IV shoved into their vein. Stop assuming the shit you want to believe. I heard 2024 no USADA in UFC. I don't know how true that is. Did you know Jesse on Fire defended a groom? Dude, so the Clipper, I've been seeing what you're doing. I know you do not like that guy. I get it. Listen, it is what it is. Whether you like him or not, or any content creator, I get it. And I got to give a shout out to Mike Goldberg for coming on Saturday night. We put polls out there. I want to tap into the community because at the end of the day, I want to make sure everyone's happy. Like, we want to put out the best possible product we can, especially during fight reactions. We want to make sure you guys are stimulated. You're getting the information. You're enjoying the content. You're laughing, having a good time. So when Mike Goldberg came on, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a different situation. I knew we were going to get complaints. And this is Mike's first time doing commentary our way. This guy's been in the UFC. He's still doing a TV commentary. It's a whole different way to call a fight when people could see it as opposed to when people can't see the fights. So, to those that were criticizing Mike, give him a little bit of a pass. Got to give Mike a shout out, though. He scored this fight over here, the Islam versus Volkanovski fight, in a way that the judges scored it. He saw it different than a lot of other people in the chat. He saw it different than Jesse as well. So let's talk about the scoring of the fight. Let's talk about the scoring of Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. And make sure you hit that like button. 70 likes with 300 people watching is incredibly unacceptable. You're literally watching the best show on YouTube. I don't know what you're waiting for. Bash that like button. Over here is Islam Makhachev, and on the other side is Alexander Volkanovski. Some say the great. 164 total strikes to 95. 70 significant strikes to 57. 37 to 36 in head, 21 to 18 in body, 12 to 3 in legs, and then you have a little change in the situation. When it comes to control time, 737 for Islam, 255 for Volk. And how about that 255 for Volkanovski? Listen, 4 for 9 on takedowns, 0 for 4 for Volk. Credit for trying. I mean, you're trying on Islam Makhachev, a very scary grappler, a weight class higher. So, impressive. Alexander Volkanovski, to me, overachieved. I thought he looked fantastic. In fact, if it went 6-7 rounds, you could make a damn good argument that Volkanovski had Makhachev where, I mean, if this is a true street fight and this thing is never ending, Volkanovski might whoop Islam's ass. Let's go round by round in this fight, and let me tell you exactly what happened. I'm going to pull up the numbers, the scorecard from the official people, and let me know if you agree or disagree with it. In the chat right now, wow, how about this? How about this? Give me 1 second here. This is pretty cool. Wow. Okay, who won? Got 285 votes. Keep on voting away on this. Very curious. Who won, Islam or Volk? Right now, the chat has 61% Alexander Volkanovski. So that's a pretty decent amount of the people watching the stream right now saying Alexander Volkanovski won. Okay. I heard Volk and Islam kiss backstage. That's true. That actually did happen. Let's see. Dude just said all overachieved for controlling 2 minutes while Islam controlled 7. Shows how bad Alex was compared to Islam. Listen, I thought Alex Volkanovski was going to get run over. I did. I thought Islam Makhachev was just going to dump him on his head and beat the living snot out of him. I did. Now listen, I got the pick right. But at the end of the day, the fight was incredibly close. And the fact that Volkanovski, and by the way, it's 2:55, so that's 3 minutes of control time. Hate to break it to you. He outstruck Islam 164 to 95. He overachieved. So, bro, get off that dick for a second. Listen, I'm an Islam fan, but just pump the brakes. Give Alexander Volkanovski some respect. Listen, Islam peeps. I'm going to say we because I picked Islam and I like Islam. We got the dub. We got the win. Let's move forward and stop being all... Let the Volk people cry and get upset. Maybe they have a case. Here's the scores. Let's scroll in over here. Shoop. All right, so here we go. The first judge had it 48-47 in favor of Islam Makhachev. Close. 48-47, very close. The second judge had it 49-46 for Islam Makhachev. All rounds for Islam except for 5. Now, people are pretty upset about that scorecard. We'll talk about it. The third judge had it 48-47 Islam Makhachev. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's a 10-point scoring system that happens here. It's like boxing, okay? Basically, the winner of a round usually gets the 10, and the other one gets the 9. If they have a very dominating round, it's a 10-8. If it's a really, really incredibly epic, ridiculous, 10-7 is a mythical score, but usually 10-9s are what you see over here. So basically, if you see that 10, that's the person that won the round. If you see the 9, it's the person that didn't win the round, for those that don't understand. And the reason why I'm saying this and talking to you guys like, there might be some dummies in the chat. You're not dummies. When I did the stream on Saturday, I was shocked by how many people just didn't know who Mike Goldberg was. And it's okay. I'm cool with the casuals. I have no problem with the casuals. In fact, the casuals are the people that keep the UFC going. And I got to rely on some casuals as well to keep our channel going. So I'm cool with the OGs, the people that have been watching the sport forever. I'm cool with the casuals. Let's move on. All three judges scored it in favor of Islam Makhachev. Now, let me know what your scores are in the chat. What do you think? Clearly, people, 61% still think Volkanovski got the win. I'm going to go by round. Now, all three judges said the first round was Islam, and I agree. If anything, to me, after watching the fight back, Goldberg said 4-0 Islam. He said all 4 except for, he agreed with the second judge. I think he was 49-46 as well. The first round, I think we could all agree Islam won that round, right? Am I right or wrong? Did anyone think in the chat that Islam won the first round? Volkanovski, won the first round. Let me know in the chat. Did you think Volkanovski won? There were moments Volkanovski had in that round. To me, it was clear enough to say, okay, Islam got this round. So I'm not going to go too crazy with it, but let me know in the chat. Anyone think Volkanovski got round 1? Let's see. Goldberg was on crack saying 4-0. Well, hold on. Dan is butthurt. Well, yeah, technically, Dan Hooker was right about the IV. I spoke about it earlier. Run it back in the stream. He was right about that. But what he didn't know is there is a loophole, and he got this IV legitimately, which is kind of shady, but still, it's within the rule set. So Islam technically did not cheat. He technically didn't. Okay. All right. So Islam got the first round. I'm not gonna move from there. The second round. I thought was very close. There was a flurry by the Islam where he rocked Volk, and not rocked him, but I'll say he wobbled him and really got his attention. I felt like it was the most significant strike of the round, and to me, that strike right there in a close fight put me in favor of Islam Makhachev. But I got to be honest with you, even though all three judges said the second round was Islam, I can see, with the crowd going freaking ballistic, I can see how one judge would be like, well, maybe he got the second round. But the wobbling, Islam wobbled Volk 2 times. Islam had at least 2 strong scenarios where you're like, okay, Islam got this round. But I do, like, watching it back, I was like, it's kind of close, kind of competitive. Between 2 and 3, Volkanovski gets on the seat, and he looks at his coaches, and he's like, he's not strong. And I was like, damn, bro. You just went 2 rounds with this guy. You're probably down 2-0. And you're saying that this guy's not strong. So Volk had this little pep in his step, man. Gets out there, goes into the third round. And I feel like the third round, and I wrote this in my notes, another very close round, but I put it in caps. This one, like the second round, you could make some sort of argument, but I still think that's Islam's round. I feel fairly confident in saying that's Islam's round. Whereas the third round, incredibly close. But that little extra pep in this step from Volk, talking to the coaches, telling them, hey, Islam's not as strong, I think Volk got number 3. I really do. Like, watching it back, I'm like, okay, Volk got this round. The crowd's going fucking wild. Volk's fired up. And you're looking at the scorecards over here. One judge disagrees, but the other two, the first and second over here, say Volk got number 3. I agree with the 2. I think he does. But I have to be honest with you. I cannot light on fire the second judge. Because when I watched it, I had to really fucking pay attention. Like, I'm like, momentum going back and forth throughout the round. I'm like, oh, which one is going to get this thing over here? Volk got it by a smidge. He got 3 by a smidge. This wasn't round 5. He got it by a smidge. So Volk got 1 round now. 3 was Volk, 1 and 2 Islam. The 4th round. And let me go to my notes here over here, because this was a wild fucking round. With 3 minutes left in this 4th round, Islam gets a very, very important takedown. And the thing about this takedown over here, it leads to a sequence where Islam has the control and it's just adding up. But as he has the control, Volkanovski's throwing the hands over the shoulder, yapping off, playing to the crowd, the whole thing. There was a critical moment in this takedown. When Islam takes down Volkanovski, the first thing Volk does is he's so confident in himself and the fact that he is not fearful of what Islam's going to be able to do with him on the ground. He thinks he'll always get his ass back up. He looks over at Javier Mendez and the boys, and he's like, I'm getting right back up. Like, he's mouthing off to Islam's coaches, and as he's mouthing off to them in this confidence and he's feeding off the crowd, he starts crawling his way back to the fence, and Islam is just holding on to him as Alex is pushing his way over to the fence. I think this is a very big mistake. Instead of fucking talking to his coaches over here, get your ass to the kitchen, get back up, right? But instead, he's like, fuck this, I got this, right? He works his way back over. Islam locks a triangle lock around his waist and has solidified the back position. It's very ironic how Volkanovski was like, I'm going to get back up, and Islam's like, no, you're not. I feel like that was a big swing, and this was a big factor in Islam winning this fight. Islam has the back. Volkanovski's throwing the hands over the shoulder. Now, in real time, I'm like, Islam's not really doing much with his position. I got to be honest with you. Because of all these crazy strikes that were landing, in real time, and I'm hearing the crowd, I'm thinking to myself, we've seen this before. We've seen judges be swayed by a fucking crazy crowd. We've seen judges say control time's important, but you got to do something with that position. Here's my problem. Volkanovski was just in a dangerous position. Yes, Islam did not choke him out. He wasn't really close to even choking out Volkanovski, but Volkanovski never really made the attempt to get out of that very dangerous position. Instead, he's talking shit and throwing punches over his head.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We pause.
Took a 5 feet 4 inches Australian by way of Macedonia to show these golden boys like McGregor, Gaethje, Chandler and Poirier how to fight against these foreign boogeyman. I'm done with the golden gooses and could care less about Chandler versus McGregor.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. What an opinion. So anyway, back to the 4th round over here. He was throwing the hands over. Nothing was effective striking. Nothing was significant. He was just padding stats over here, and it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't advancing position. It wasn't putting Islam in any danger. It was hitting the top of his head. Islam he was just looking to get this choke, and he had the dominating position, whereas Volk was just flailing the arms around. It was an unfortunate situation because the crowd was going wild. Volk was talking smack. He was trying to get into Islam's head, but Islam was still controlling in that dominating position that could lead into a finish. Whereas Volk was just flailing like this, and it looked really cool. Like, watching the fight, even the second time, I was like, oh, look, he's a fucking badass. But being a badass is not going to win you a fight. Islam won round number 4. So now Islam is up 1, 2, and 4, in my opinion, on the replay. Looking at the judges over here, they agree. 10-9s across the board for Islam Makhachev. There's really not much to say about the fifth round. I think everyone in this world, including all the Islam fans out there, agree that Volkanovski won this fifth. But there is a couple of things we can talk about. There was a big piece of damage on Volk's head. And actually, shout out to Mike Goldberg for bringing this up. The gash that was controlled by his corner. You didn't really notice how bad this gash was because they sealed it up nicely. But a nasty gash across the eye. And I wasn't sure when this happened, but in the replay of the fight, well, I found out. There were two vicious knees by Islam, and one caused that cut. The most damaging strike of the fight happened in the fifth round for Islam, which is wild. That happened over there. It caused the cut. There was 3:30 left in the round, and then Volk eventually pushed the momentum in his favor. He rocked on Islam. Islam goes down. Volk gets on top in a position of dominance, and Volk is trying to let it go, right? He's trying to get this finish over here. Islam said something in the post-fight press conference, which I found pretty interesting. Listen, Islam lost the fifth round. There is no doubt about it. Ironically, caused the biggest piece of damage in that round on Volk, but with that being said, still lost number 5. Islam said at the post-fight press conference, the reason why he didn't try to get back up or try to get out of this really bad spot is because in his mind, he felt he was winning this fight. Why take any unnecessary chances to get out of this position over here when Volk was in a position to finish? And when I watched it back after he said that, I saw it. Islam was not lying in any way. You could see the way he was shelling up over there. He wasn't even trying to get back up. He was trying to keep Volk close. There was like a minute left in the round. He knew, or actually 50 seconds left in the round, and he was just trying to say, okay, let's just weather this right now. I got this fight in the bag. Is it a good game plan? No, because you never know what the score is. But watching it back over there, and when I thought Islam was in big trouble, and yes, Volk could have found a path to victory in finishing him there, Islam played defense at the very, very end. It was actually fascinating to watch in a replay. Regardless, Volkanovski wins round number 5. So we got it 1, we got it 2, we got it 4 for Islam Makhachev. We got it 3, and we got it 5 for Volkanovski. Now, with this all being said and how I scored it in the second time, I still kind of agree with what I said during the Fight Buddies in real time. I can make arguments for 2. I can definitely make arguments for number 3, how Volkanovski could have won this fight. With that crowd booming and Volk having these special moments in these rounds, you could swing it in favor of Volkanovski. So with that being said, there is no robbery here. There is an incredibly competitive, close fight all the way to the end. The 5th round, Volk turning it up. Very, very close fight. And if the judges went in Volk's favor, I probably would have said, I understand. I get it. But the judges got it right. Islam Makhachev won that fight. If you watch it back, you will see. Stay unbiased. Even with that deafening crowd, everyone going nuts, there were times where you couldn't even hear the announcers, which is actually a kind of a good thing. Like, because the announcing, I keep forgetting how bad UFC announcing is. It's bad. But hearing that crowd so loud over there in Australia, it's amazing that these judges didn't get more biased in their scoring. It's a shocking thing. But listen, these are the facts here, guys. It's a close fight. There is no robbery. If the judges went in Volk's way, yes. Okay. It's fine. You could make your arguments. But they got it right. Islam Makhachev won the decision. All these fancy numbers over here. And this goes to show you that... Oh, not this over here. This goes to show you over here. These stats don't really mean everything because it's round by round. It's not overall. We're talking about the significance of these strikes. 164 out of 255. Volk put out volume, but that didn't get the job done. The control time actually was important in this thing. And Islam Makhachev stays and still. Let's get to the alerts over here. We'll get to the chat.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Dustin Diamond.
What happened to the idea of you have to convincingly beat the champ to become the champ? Close fights are not robberies. If Volk won, I seen that as Poirier's path to gold. Anyway, love the Goldberg collab.
Thank you.
WW?
Thank you. Yeah, we got more good things said about Goldie than bad, but I understand the criticism. I get it. I understand what people want to see on Fight Buddies. We're going to go right back to the special sauce. We know it works, but I do feel bringing in star power and intelligently intertwining it with what we do, which we will get better at, of course. Things are going to get very interesting in the next couple of years. They're going to get very, very interesting. But anyway, thank you, Dustin Diamond, for the $2 donation. Appreciate that.
Aw, super chat.
Hero $1,000 now rename Studio Jesse on grooming.
That's not 1,000, but you give us a $500 donation. Yes, we will rename it that. That's for sure. Thank you. Let's go into the chat over here. And what do you think? Listen, I mean, I was being as fair as possible. I watched the last 2 rounds with Jesse as well, who thought Volk won. And she has to go back and watch 1 and 2, she said. And I'm curious to see what she says about round 1 and 2. But listen, I got to be honest with you. Like I said, either way, whoever wins this fight, I thought we win as fans. I didn't give a fuck if I won with my old Islam pick. I did terrible on that night. If Islam wins or loses, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to see a really good fight. And I did. Even on the replay, it was just as good as the first time. It's a great fight to watch. So much fun because of Volk. Volkanovski made that incredibly exciting. But Volk lost by a smidge, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, you could make the argument 4-1 Islam. You could make the argument 3-2 Volk. You could make the argument 3-2 in favor of Islam. You could make all of those arguments legitimately. But the real winner is Islam. Sorry, not sorry. It's the truth. I didn't know Volk had many fans. That surprised me. Well, you know what? It's not about Volk's fans, but the Aussie fans are super duper, man. Like they are so much fun. And I love their fire and their energy. It was so exciting to watch that even back because I didn't really hear the crowd much when we were doing our fight reaction. Aussie crowd's awesome. But there's also the hatred for the neckbeards. I mean, let's be serious here. A lot of people became Volk fans just because they just wanted Islam to lose. And that's fine. You know, people like fighters, people don't like fighters. You're clearly biased towards neckbeards. No, I mean, JJ, I could literally sit there. I wish I could actually break down the actual fight and show you guys exactly what happened in these fights and why judges are scoring in a certain way. I'm telling you, I've switched my opinion many of times. When I watched the fight live, I said I could see how the judges went in Volk's way. But Islam's the right one. It's the right score. Can we please not have a rematch? There's not going to be a rematch. Not anytime soon, at least. But I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind seeing one. That fight was definitely good, and Islam was in over his head. There's no doubt about it. Here's another thing. Let me say this. Can we give a little respect to Islam Makhachev defending his belt in hostile territory? This is one of the first times where I saw Islam Makhachev look a little bit over his head. Like, even when he was in the cage, he didn't have that menacing look that he had against Charles Oliveira. He looked like, okay, this is way too big. This is a little bit too big for me right now. And yet he's still got the dub. Do you know? He's still got the win. It's a bummer that we have to sit here and be like, oh, it was a robbery. There was this, there's that. There was a great fight. Volk did fantastic, made it so much fun. Islam defended. He didn't have to say yes to this fight. He said, no, let's go back to Abu Dhabi. No, I want to defend it where I want to defend it. You know what I'm saying? But he went to Australia to fight the pound for pound #1 fighter and defend his belt there. Come on. Why are we shitting on Islam? I honestly don't get it anymore. Like, it's ridiculous. The hatred for Islam Makhachev baffles the hell out of me. Now, if you think Volk won, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But man, He called out a featherweight and lost. Okay. Well, this featherweight was a fucking 200-plus pound rugby player. It's not a small man. The man has a longer reach. Listen, I feel like a broken record right now. The reach is more important than the height. I'll unsubscribe right now. Volk, absolutely, what the fuck? You're shitting on Islam for the way he handled the win. All right, so what did Islam do wrong in the win? Out of curiosity. Educate me on this. I don't know what he did wrong on the win. Why was it a great fight? Because of Volk. Yeah, I said that. You're literally repeating what I said. It was a great fight because of Volkanovski. No doubt about it. That's what I said. Islam in a casket resting up and sleeping in Abu Dhabi right now until next fight. That's true. That is true. Islam is final. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, what did he do? Said Volk only won 1 minute is a good start. Wait, he said Volk only won 1 minute. When did he say this? When did he say Volk? Did he say it immediately after the fight? Did he say it after a rewatch on Twitter when everyone was accusing him of cheating and this and that? When did he say it? I think that weight cut was brutal for Islam. He was literally in tears on the scale. Yeah, well, he rehydrated on Twitter. Okay. So, he was getting filleted. He was getting filleted after the fight about he lost. He was standing there and tried to give a speech in front of the Aussie crowd, and they were all booing him. So, for Islam to go on the mic and said Volk won 1 minute, I don't know. I think he has a right to that. No? He was literally getting booed out of the building. Volkanovski even had to tell the crowd, yo, calm down. Volk was telling the Aussie, and listen, the Aussie crowd's fucking awesome. I love him. But Volk was even like, yo, calm down, calm down, calm down. Give him some respect. So he can't get on Twitter and say that he won 1 minute. Like, he could say whatever the fuck he wants. I don't understand. Listen, I get it. He's Habib's boy. He's Ali Abdelaziz's guy. You know, people don't like that. People are not fans with that. You know, I was critical of Habib for a while. I was very biased in my opinion of Habib, and, you know, I horsed around and made jokes. But boy, it is weird, man, how you know, some people's like dislike for a certain athlete kind of blinds their judgment. All right, Ronaldo. Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone has their opinion, and I'm fine with it. It's just I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to say after losing a close fight. After a close fight. How is that crazy to say? He's talking shit on Twitter. What's the big deal? It's fucking Twitter. People are accusing my man of cheating, and he actually did something within the rule set. Now, it is a little suspect, but it's part of the rules. He's being accused of cheating. So he doubled down. And by the way, let me just say this, guys. Let me just say this. Do you know that Islam is tweeting this stuff? Because there's a man named Ali Abdelaziz, and he's usually in charge of these people's social media. So now you're going to criticize Islam for a quote on Twitter that's usually controlled by Ali Abdelaziz. Interesting. Guilty by association? Okay, here we go. Here's the tweet. Here you go. Just watch the tape and have to be fair. Out of 25 minutes, Volk got last 1 minute. Okay, this is fucking Ali. Guys, this is Ali Abdelaziz. That is not Islam Makhachev. That's not him. Come on, guys. Actually, let's go through the comments and see. This is funny. Let's see. Oh my God, it's so funny, man. Where's the? You mean to tell me no one is realizing that this is Ali Abdelaziz? It's just people defending Islam and whatever. At least we got more meme faces though with Islam. Oh man, I love it, man. I love the I love the way, people are very passionate about this sport, and I appreciate the passion. I really do. I don't think there's any sport where we can really go hard in the paint each and every week about different athletes and just fucking argue back and forth. I think we could all agree that Corey, I did talk about the IV. Let me circle back around. Go to John Morgan's Twitter, and it's kind of crazy. Let me just say this. If you're going to go with the IV cheat thing, yes, Islam used the IV. Okay, I went down this whole path with the community earlier. Islam did use the IV. There's no doubt about it. And technically that is cheating, right? But if you go on John Morgan's thing, there is a loophole, and it's a crazy, crazy loophole. If a medical professional says that you need to rehydrate back up with an IV, and they have a list of medical reasons why, if an athlete needs to get it done, if a doctor says, yeah, you got to get this done, you get it done. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is. Like, that is fucking insane to me, but it's there. So they found a loophole. So before you guys say, oh, he's an IV cheat, this and that, he followed the rules. It's crazy, man. I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't understand why they're not even using IVs. Just let all these motherfuckers, just let them use IVs and just make sure you know what they're putting in their bodies. I guess, can you monitor the bags or some shit? I don't know. It is an advantage, though. Like, I see it's just hydration. It is an advantage because if one fighter can cut massive amounts of weight and then all of a sudden hit the IV, it is an advantage. There's no doubt about it. He took the IV after the weigh-ins, guys. Levi Lenz. This is the truth. I can't argue that. Fighters can get an IV as easy as you can get a medical marijuana card. Basically, it's fucking nuts. Yeah, it's for PED reasons, right? That's the reasoning for it. They're putting I don't know, like all that steroid shit. But yeah, that was one of the reasons why they got rid of the IV too, So there are reasons outside of it, but I guess if you do it under medical, it's just, I don't even fucking know. It's so ridiculous. When I found out, like, I was like digging, I'm like, did this guy get it done? And what we did was we saw the Getty images. I thought they were, photoshopped. I thought people were fucking around, but no, it's true. Like, you could see the marks clear as day on him. My man got it. The vein is bulging out like he got injected over there, and there's multiple pictures showing it. Multiple, in videos, in the cage, all after the weigh-ins. How you doing, Baby Yoda? So, yes, he got it done, and yes, there's a loophole, apparently, that I never knew about. But, someone in the chat did say, remember the image of Paulo Costa? Jesse said the exact same thing. There was an image of Paulo Costa where he was on an IV, and they weren't supposed to be getting it done, and he's just smiling to the camera. So apparently, medically, you can do it. Islam is not technically the only person that's done this before, but Dan Hooker's not wrong about the IV, but he's wrong about whether it was legit or not. So that's the IV situation. Do what you will with that information. It's on you.
Wonderful.
Look at you guys.
Masterful fight analysis, Moss. I agree. I chose Volk to win and thought he got robbed. I watched the fight a second time without the sound and watched Islam get the takedown over and watched him take dominant positions. The crowd fooled us.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt about it. The night of, I thought the crowd would have swayed the judges, and thank you for the donation, appreciate that. And I saw it's still a close fight, but I thought that Volk could have got the edge just from that crowd going ballistic, and rightfully so. It was a fun fight. You see all these. You also look at the stats, and you see all these strikes in favor of Volk. You just assume, oh my God, he won that fight. It's round by round, very important. 4 of 9 with takedowns. Islam did land 4 takedowns. Volk 0 for 4. So I mean, it's not like when Islam had those takedowns, he was going to get the submission. There was never really that chance. Volk is just so good, man. He really is. Volk showed that this guy's grappling is legit, even with the bigger guys. Volk is no joke. But at the end of the day, if you go round by round, you follow the assessment that I had, I mean, come on, guys. Like, let's stop at this. Let's stop at this robbery stuff. We hear it like almost every card now.
Aw, super chat.
The problem with people is that they insert their feelings into the fight and tend to believe that their fighter is winning the fight when they are not. Volk had his moments, but not enough to win.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that too, plenty of times. A big thing is Reyes versus John Jones. That fight over there. I thought, like, hands down, Dominic Reyes won that thing. I was emotional. I was like, we just saw history and got robbed. Jesse was like the same way. Now, Jesse stayed with the Reyes win. But when I watched it back multiple times, I was like, holy shit, did I just see? I felt like I was watching a different fight. Emotions are there. They're a real thing. You know, they are real. Islam won 1, 2, and 4. I agree. I said the exact same score. But let me know in the chat. How did you score the fight? And I see majority of people picked Volk. It's still in the poll over here. Hold on a sec. So a lot of people still think Volkanovski got the win. That's fair. 522 votes. Joe knows MMA. He calls it down the line. Okay. So, yeah. Let me just say this. For the people criticizing our fight buddies, I had to go back and listen to a little Rogan's Fight Buddies. Now, Fight Companion, I say. Fight Companion is way different because it's just guys getting drunk and once in a blue moon they'll talk about the fights. You know, people are criticizing us because we usually, like, 99% of the time are talking about the fights, and every once in a while we go off the deep end and, you know, do something goofy. But on Saturday, we were like 75% on it because we had Mike Goldberg in the building, right? Even with Mike Goldberg not understanding, you know, completely the format because it was his first time doing it with us, even with Mike not even getting that part of it until like towards the very, very end, we still stayed on track a gazillion times better than Fight Companion. That was nuts. And then I saw like these guys yelling and screaming about, you know, the robbery and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, you got to put the bottle down. You gotta put the bottle down, man. Like I think Fight Companion, it's just a different thing. I think that's what we have to go into. If you're gonna watch Fight Companion, you're not gonna really know much about the fights that's going on here. You're just gonna watch 4 guys talk that happen to be celebrities with one ex-UFC fighter, but talk about nonsense. That's what it's about, right? So like you can't compare what we do to that. But when I saw the criticism that we were getting, I'm like, bro, put on Fight Companion. See how much more information you're going to get out of that. You know, so that was interesting. And Mike Goldberg hit it on the head a couple of times, like strongman, especially with the Islam scoring. Like, whereas me and Jesse were kind of teeter-tottering, Mike saw it clear as day as the judges. So Mike was clearly watching the fight less biased than I was. So I thought that was pretty impressive by Goldberg as well. And I loved having Mike Goldberg on. I tell you what, the guy's a fucking awesome dude. Absolutely awesome dude. And if you don't know who Mike Goldberg is, I get it. Because like I said before, a lot of our community is newer to the game. So they're like, who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is Mike Goldberg?
Who the fuck is that guy?
And that's okay. I forgive you. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all I got on that. There's really nothing else I have to add about the situation. So let's get your final comments over here, and then we move on. I listened to Brian Callen's annoying comments and Big Dummy SCHAUB, JJ. These two are so evenly matched. If they fought 5 times, I think they would go 2-2 in a draw. I tell you what, I kind of hope they do run it back down the road. Not immediately, of course. Volk truly won that fight. Well, Brett, I mean, if you're just coming in now, check out the analysis. I mean, I think if you rewatch that fight and listen to what I said, you'll understand a little bit better. But I understand, like, the people that are going in Volk's direction, there are arguments you can make for 3, definitely. Round 3, 100% you can make an argument. And 2, there's a little argument as well. It all comes down to round 2 for me, so Seattle Ryan. Yeah, so we're on the same page. That second round, Volk found some positive energy going into that third. And wound up winning the fourth, excuse me. No, excuse me, third round, yes. The second round going into the third, that's when Volk was saying he's not that strong. Volk lost, it wasn't even close. Goldberg is the man. I agree, man. Such a nice dude, man. And a very, like, this guy has stories for days. Slowly into the third round. I honestly believe if we ever have Goldberg back on Fight Buddies, I think, I told Jesse, I kind of want to sit with him and say, okay, you know, this is exactly what we have to give our community. This is what we do on Fight Buddies. You know, this is our formula. And I got to be honest with you, like, Goldie as a color commentator, which he doesn't do, like, he does play-by-play. But I feel like if Goldie, like, me and Jess know how to do this shit. Like, we've been doing this for almost 7 years. Like, we understand how YouTube works, how to paint a picture of a fight and throw it out there so you guys know exactly what's going on if you're not paying for the pay-per-view. And when Goldie does it, you're watching the pay-per-view. You know, you're watching along, so it's a whole different way of calling a fight. But if he chimes in with the color commentary stuff with his knowledge, dude, that'd be crazy, man. By the way, he got John Kavanaugh to comment on his Billy Strut that he did on the show. Anyway, let's give a shout out to our sponsors here, CBDX.com. The promo code is MMA-HOLES for 20% off the finest of THC. I love these gummies, and I'll probably be chomping on one of these things tomorrow night when we're gaming. So CBDX.com, the promo code is MMA-HOLES for 20% off. MyBookie.ag. Place your bets on MyBookie.ag. Use our promo code MMA-HOLES for 100% match on your first deposit. Check out MyBookie.ag. Sheath underwear. Best undies in the game. Got that pouch in the front, patented pouch in the front where you can drop your junk in there. It's very comfortable. It's got multiple purposes. This stuff looks good. It's got it all. The best underwear you could ever wear. There's a link in the description. 20% off. Promo code MMA-HOLES. And Head Rush, same promo code, same premium product. Head Rush got all sorts of clothes down below in the description. Check the links out. Use the 20% off code MMA-HOLES. All right, friends. I want to thank everyone for stopping by tonight. You guys are absolutely
Wonderful.
We're going to be live again on Wednesday night. I don't know. Let me ask this to the community. Should we be doing Power Slap anymore? Because I'm about to say, I think I'm done with Power Slap. Do we keep going with this Power Slap stuff, or we pump the brakes and wait for the, you know, I don't know, the finale or whatever? Let me know with the chat, yes or no, because I'm kind of done.
Aw, super chat.
Kind of done with this. Triangle.
Folk wagered his P4P for Islam's belt. Islam P4P number 1.
I mean, technically that's the case. That is another argument. And I got to say this, I would like to know in the chat, in the comment section. This is very important. When the stream is done and processed and good to go, in the comment section down below, I want to know who you thought won the fight, why they won the fight, and who should be the pound for pound king of the UFC. Those questions down below in the comment section when we're done with this stream over here. Pound for pound king. People are saying Volk shouldn't be stripped of the pound for pound king because of how this fight went down. So I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Wonderful.
I believe Islam was definitely worried about the outcome, considering his comrades getting bad calls.
Okay, worried about the outcome considering his comrades are getting bad calls. I don't think he was. I mentioned this, and you probably coming late over here. I mentioned this on the actual analysis of the fight. The 5th round, Islam said what he was doing at the end of that round. It made total sense in a rewatch. So go back and watch what I said about the 5th round over there and watch the fight again. You'll probably see it for yourself. Islam kind of took his foot off the gas when he was in a bad spot. He didn't want to take any chances because Volk could have finished him there. He was very realistic of being in trouble in that situation, played it safe for the last 50 seconds, took the L for that round, but thought he won that fight, which is not advisable, but that's what his mindset was. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for stopping by tonight. You were all wonderful. Thank you for the donations. Hit the fucking like button and share the stream too. Share it out to your friends out there and say, yo, this is the best fucking community in the world. Thank you for stopping by, and don't be an a-hole, be an MMA hole. Yeah.
I'm coming. I'm coming!